We had somebody tape a question for you.
Hey Paul, Kelly Slater here in California. I look forward to catching up and meeting you in person sometime soon. And my question for you today is, tell us about your interaction with the leopard seal down in Antarctica that you had.
Wow, Kelly Slater. Obviously, I'm a massive fan of Kelly's and starstruck just even seeing him say that. And he's been writing me back and forth, and I've been offering photography advice for his kid, and it's he's one cool dude. But I had put in to do a story for National Geographic on leopard seals, and it took a long time to get for things to come together for me to find a boat that I could go to Antarctica with. And I consulted this gentleman by the name of Don Edna from Sweden. He had met the leopard seal. He said it can be extremely intimidating, and I said, I want to do a story and just dispel the myth of this misunderstood predator in Antarctica. If we're going to get people to care about climate change and habitat. And right when Geographic approved the story, tragically in 2004, a scientist was killed by a leopard seal, taken down and drowned, and the world was like, okay, see, they are these vicious animals. And I was like, I got to do this. I got to dispel this myth. And we arrived in Antarctica. It was a 5-day crossing in the roughest seas in the world. Actually, a 7-day crossing.
How was that?
It was beautiful. Beautiful. It was brutal. It was vomiting almost nonstop for the first 3 days, to the point that I thought I might not make it. That my diaphragm was in contraction just from vomiting so much nonstop with no food or water. I mean, just it's so rough being in 20-foot seas in the bow of a little sailboat going up and down and getting smacked in 50 knots of wind. And it was dangerous to get out of bed. I was always getting thrown out of bed into the wall. You crawl back into bed, just kept puking into my pillow.
When you say you thought you might not make it, meaning what? That you
just gonna suffocate. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know much about it. But when you're vomiting, it goes like, and you're just dry heaving like that for hour after hour. It is so brutal that it becomes scary. You feel like you're suffocating and just trying to deal with that. But luckily, after 3 days, the storm subsided, and I was able to get some food in and eat some apples and some water. We get there after a week at sea, and we put the Zodiac in the water, and we go around the corner. And I've never seen a leopard seal before, but this huge female came up to the boat. Her head's bigger than a grizzly bear's, and she's 12 feet long, and we're in a 12-foot Zodiac, and she's as big or bigger than our boat. And she goes off and grabs a penguin, and she comes up underneath the hull of the boat, and we're just sitting there, and she starts to ram this penguin against the hull of the boat, and she's interacting with her. So he and I sit down and we brace ourselves because we don't want to fall in the water. And I'm looking at this huge seal, and then she goes 15 feet away from the boat. She grabs it, and they do this death shake. She shakes it by the head so fast that you can hardly see. There's water flying everywhere, this explosion, all of a sudden there's chunks of meat, and she shakes it so hard she uses centrifugal force to turn the penguin inside out. And so now the skin's off the meat, and now there's just blood and guts in the water, and she's eating this penguin. And that's when Yodan said to me, this is a good seal, it's time for you to get in the water, yeah? And I'm like, forget that, except I said, F that. Everything in my body is like, do not do this. And so he and I started to fight. He's like, listen, you told me not enough budget, not enough time, and you had to tell this story in your career at National Geographic. I'll talk. Now you shut up and you get in the water. I've given you your seal. Here is your seal. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I said, so I put on my dry suit. You ever almost been
that convinced you?
Yeah. I was like, he's right. I've made these promises, and they accepted my proposal, and I'm here to get in the water with friggin' leopard seals. Let's get on with the show, buddy. And put my snorkel in my mouth, and I slipped over the edge of the boat. And I mean, objects appear 30% larger underwater than they do above water. So forever how big she looked, she was massive. And she dropped her penguin. She came racing over to me. It was just this massive head, and she starts doing these lunges at me, these threat displays. And Yodan had prepped me and said that these seals can do that. They will do these cobra-like strikes at you. But he also said that she was going to do this, and she would probably relax. And so I'm putting my strobes on half power. I'm thinking F8, 1/60th of a second, depth of field, get the shot, get your focus right. This is happening. As I'm staring into the mouth of the seal where her canines are here and here, and I'm staring in her mouth as she's doing this, and I just start shooting. And she does these displays, and then she relaxes and she disappears, and I'm thinking the encounter must be over. I don't know what's going on next. She comes back with another penguin, and she holds it by its feet, and the penguin's trying to get away from her, and this fresh caught penguin, and she lines it up with me, and she lets it go, and the penguin swims over my shoulder, and she goes off and grabs it, and she comes back and does it again and again and again. I'm like, is she trying to offer me a penguin now? Like, this is just too much. Like, my emotions going through my body at this time are just like, are you kidding me? And I keep photographing. She does it again and again, and then she realizes that, I think she realizes at this point that I can't catch a live swimming penguin, so she grabs another penguin and she gets it tired, she gets it worn out, and she tries to offer me that penguin. And then ultimately she started to bring me dead penguins. At one point I had 5 dead penguins floating around my head with her just sitting there. And this I'm telling you this story as if it all happened in a minute. It happened over 4 days. I mean, every time I got in the water, she was there to greet me with a penguin, and was determined to get me to eat a penguin. At once she rammed my dome underwater incredibly hard. I think that there was so much blood in the water and the penguins, and she's eating it, and I'm this far from, all of a sudden my dome is touching her lips in the water, and she rams the camera, thinking maybe it was another leopard seal. Another time she flung a penguin through the air, and I'm in the water like from me to you like this, and you're the leopard seal. She flings the penguin, which weighs 10 pounds, drills me into the side of the head, and I felt myself almost getting knocked out. It was like bang, and I feel myself sort of closing down, and I'm like, and you just see her change her body language. She starts to watch me like this as you become weak, and I'm like, you hang on to this, buddy. And I'm like, brought myself, like, pretended I was good until I was good, kept shooting, just all these inner things. And then she'd come up to me and she'd blow bubbles in my face, like frustrated that I couldn't accept the penguin. And all this craziness happened. And then on the 4th day, I'm thinking she's really sick of me now because I've shown my complete ineptness. And then she looks at me and she rolls over on her back and she does this guttural, deep jackhammer sound. It vibrates through my whole body. I didn't even know they vocalized like this. And I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna get it. Now she's upset. And she looked at me, and as she did that, she rushed towards me, and I'm like, I'm about to get hit. And she rushed right by me, and as she did that, I looked, and there was another big leopard seal had snuck up behind me, and that whole threat display was for this other big leopard seal, who happened to have a penguin in its mouth. And I was just like, are you kidding me? It's like, it's the most incredible story. I think it's the most incredible thing that'll ever happen to me in my career. To meet this vicious predator, to have it nurture me, take care of me, try and feed me, trying to figure me out in its world, and to come back with a set of pictures to this day that I'll never duplicate. Thanks for setting that up. Hopefully I'm going to meet him here next week at this Eddie Vedder concert. He might come down, and I'll be like a shy little starstruck schoolboy meeting him. Oh my God, Kelly Slater. Yeah, what a legend.